Hello World Cup supporters, I'm a World Cup fan myself, my name is Peter. Throughout the World Cup I'll be making videos and posting them on social media and whatnot just to cause banter and good conversation. I'm no expert, just want to talk about each and every group. Starting off, Group A, Brazil, Mexico, Croatia, Cameroon. So my initial thoughts on the group, it was an easy group for Brazil, the hosts and the five-time champions. Looking at it, personally, I thought it was going to be a pretty good matchup between Croatia, Mexico, and Cameroon. Mexico having a tough World Cup qualifying campaign, going through multiple managers and struggling there. Turns out that wasn't the case. Starting off with Brazil. Okay, so Brazil. The big team, a lot of the favorites for people that aren't really in the know, not saying I am, but do have a little bit more knowledge than the average American fan, let's say. I always have this epiphanic kind of prediction that comes to me about a month before a major tournament. In the Euros, it was the Netherlands were going to go out in the group stages due to poor defense, and that's exactly what happened. Whether it's lucky or fate, the epiphanic prediction came true, happened again this time, or it looks like it's going to happen again this time anyways. My prediction this time was Spain will not win and Brazil will not win. So the hosts will not win and the defending champions won't win. Turns out Spain's already out of the group stages. We'll talk about that later when we come to the latter groups. Brazil, on the other hand, really lacking firepower in terms of a talisman up top. Fred and Joe have not gotten the job done on the international stage. Yes, they had a little bit of flurries in the sorry, the name of the tournament has lost me. The last summer's tournament, the one before the World Cup, when they beat Spain in the final 3-1. Yes, Fred scored. It was a little tap in. He had one last week against Cameroon. So, on top of that, the back line is farther forward than Fred and Joe most of the time in the attack, allowing them to be really susceptible to counterattacks and letting in goals there. So Brazil, the back line is woeful. You see Dani Alves was all over the place in the first game, letting in that own goal, but other than that, he's been marginal at best. Thiago Silva has been all right. I mean, he was supposed to be a world phenomenon at this World Cup, kind of like the star player. He's been okay. The back line has just been okay overall with a relatively easy group. They'll definitely be tested in the knockout stages if they get deep enough. Midfield, yes, Neymar has done it, whether you want to call him a midfielder or a striker. Brazil are really lacking a good distributor of the ball and a lot of guys going forward that are good role players and have flair, like to take on guys. But in order to get deep into the knockout stages and eventually win a tournament, you have to have that sort of a dictator of possession and a pacemaker of the game. They do not have it. On top of that, it's a very young team that hasn't shown that they can really mesh well on the top stage, which is the World Cup. Yes, they've been able to overpower teams like Cameroon, who's historically been the worst World Cup team to date, and then Croatia, who's iffy. We'll get to them next. So next, Mexico, the next team going out with 7 points. Mexico were an interesting bunch. Herrera, the new manager, has really got those boys playing well. Talisman up top and Chicharito, he's pretty good. Oribe Peralta is another good guy. They just mesh well. A lot of them are in the Mexican league themselves, so there's that sort of camaraderie and chemistry that they have playing and seeing each other domestically all the time. Guillermo Ochoa, I had the pleasure of meeting him last summer actually, and when I watched the Ajaccio Saint-Etienne game in Corsica, which was really cool. He has spurts of being world class for club and country, so it's good to see him play well on the top stage. They're a team, Rafa Marquez has led them now in 4 World Cups, 2000, 2006, 2010, 4 World Cups. And they're a tournament team. They know how to get through. They're always in that 2 or 3 spot when the groups are assigned and know how to get out, but they've struggled in the last tournaments you've seen, whether it's the last 2 or 3, where they get to the round of 16 and lose. So they're playing, I forget who they're playing actually, but yes, so they are playing, if I'm not mistaken, hold on, let me look this up. Give me 1 second here, forgive me for my unprofessionalism. Alright, yes, they're playing, the Netherlands, yeah. So they're playing a really tough test in the Netherlands. With organization and a good game plan, you can always beat the Netherlands given that backline situation. So we'll see what Mexico can do there. Croatia. This is a team that everyone loves in Europe because of whether it's the cool kits that they have or the one or two top players that they have. I mean, everyone's like, "Oh, Croatia's good. They have Mario Mandzukic up top with Modric and Rakitic in the midfield." But that's all they have. And on top of that, they don't even mesh well together as a team. Rakitic is a up-and-coming young midfielder who's just signed with Barcelona, I'm pretty sure. And yeah, he's shown that he can be good in a Spanish league that require pace down the wings and whatnot. But with no service from the other midfield because Modric is too busy trying to carry the team himself, there isn't really a lot of options there. Mandzukic was missing in the first game too, which is unfortunate for them. Their back line is like average at best. Lovren, Chorluka, they're like decent defenders, have not really been impressive, letting in 7 goals in 2 games. And Pletikosa, that was their biggest weak link. I mean, you saw in the first game where he let in those 2 like slow rolling balls in the opposite sides of the net, one on the left, one on the right, and it was just extremely poor. I mean, that was the reason why they weren't able to hang in that game. Just poor goalkeeping overall. That was their Achilles heel, and that's seeing them go home. The last but not least, the classic worst team in the group, wherever they are, Cameroon, which is unfortunate because they have a lot of firepower and good role players. But then on top of that, just like Brazil, lacking a true distributor of the ball and pacemaker of the team. Excuse me, I just got a notification. On top of that, it's like a lot of African teams, they don't really have a lot of tactics or a good organized game plan. Actually, very disorganized in their approach to the game. Like to take guys on, beat them with pace, and have a little short cross in the middle. They scored 1 goal that way against Brazil in the last game of their group stage. Very disappointing for them. If they can actually get a good tactical manager, they could be a decent team. Until then, they're going to be going out in the group stages because just if you don't, it shows. If you don't have a good game plan, you're going to go out. And that's it for Group A.